So Sid and I, we met on Bumble. I was actually going to Denver for a bachelor party, and I got to Denver. She had ended up sending me a message of the waving emoji, just this emoji. And I figured, well, I'm gone all weekend, I might as well shoot my shot. And just the confidence I had, I think the 5th message I sent her was, don't worry, I'll be back soon. So the first date, it kind of got started planning on Bumble. Obviously spent a few days messaging back and forth, and at some point I'm like, okay, I either need her number or her Snapchat. And I'll never forget what she said to me. She goes, 25-year-old still Snapchat? And I think that really kind of gets into the first impression of her sassiness that she has.
For our first date, he took me to Momo, which is, I had never been there, but now it's one of my favorite restaurants in Lincoln. We had a date there. He had originally asked me if I wanted to do dinner and drinks for our first date, and I joked with him, I'm like, let's just stick with dinner first. Like, I don't want to get myself into anything if it's not a good date. But it, of course, ended up going so well. So
then we decided to go down to Starlight, had a martini, and I'm pretty sure she sent some of her friends to scope me out. We actually ran into 2 of her friends down there, Cal and Kenzie. And we had such a good time, we decided to go to the Speakeasy, the other room. And if you know where the Speakeasy is, you walk down a dark alley to get here. And so I'm a little older than Sid, it's our first date, and I tell her, I'm like, I hope it's okay that I go down a dark alley with you on our first date. Now, obviously turned out all is good. After the Speakeasy, we went back to her apartment downtown, and we ran into Cal and Kenzie again. She used to live with Kenzie, and we just talked and talked and talked. And that's really where I'm like, yep, this is someone I want to continue to get to know and continue to hang out with and see. I think I ended up leaving around 2:30 that night, and we had planned to see each other again the next day.
I would say my first impression of Thomas was that he was very put together. He was a true gentleman as well for our first date. He drove all the way to my apartment, which was on the other side of town, picked me up, took me to our date. He asked, I would say, very great questions, very intentional for the first date. I could just tell that he was different, and he was mature, and he was confident in himself, and those are some of the things that I love about him to this day.
My first impression of Sid, of course, was the sassiness, but realistically, she was courteous, she was attentive, confident, and then her radiant smile stood out to me. The first kiss. First date night, we had gone up back to her apartment, and again, we were just talking and talking and talking, and the kiss just happened. It was nothing too crazy, but it was the first kiss, so it's important.
Yeah, I don't know that I could pinpoint a specific moment or time that I knew that Thomas was the one, but I think very early on we knew that we were going to be very important in each other's lives, and that we loved each other. And so I think it was just a natural progression over, honestly, a very short time. Very soon after I met Thomas, I knew that I wanted to marry him. And so, yeah, I would say it's not a specific time, but it's just over the months that we got to know each other, I knew that I wanted to be with him forever.
I knew Sid was the one for me really early on. Obviously, we had seen each other quite a bit over the first month or so that we were talking. And it was actually December 4th. We had hung out with some of her friends downtown. We were driving home. It was 12:37, and I saw my very first shooting star. I'd never seen one before, and I kind of just looked over at her, and it was a really surreal moment. We looked at each other, we smiled, and that's where I really got that feeling of, yeah, Sid is the one.
Thomas and I got engaged on June 3rd, 2022. It was a Friday, so I was at work that day. And he had texted me early in the morning, like, hey, we're gonna go out to Pioneers golf course because I need to give my buddy something that I have of his, and he'll be out there tonight, so we need to go out there. And I was going along with it, but in my head I'm like, why would I need to go out to Pioneers golf course with him? Like, what's the point of that? And I remember messaging my boss at work and saying like, I think I might be getting engaged tonight.
This was something that I don't usually get stressed out about. I was stressing about it. Knowing Sydney, of course, she likes to know everything. We're like a perfect match. She likes to plan things and delegate things, and I'm a good listener. And so she actually sent me a list of the who, the what, the how, the where, and even some inspiration, some pictures of what she wanted it to look like. So really all I had to do was do it, which is actually the hard part.
Got off work, I went home, got ready. We were actually going to dinner that night as well because Thomas was starting a new job on Monday. So it ended up being a very special weekend and big weekend for him. But I came over to his house, and looking back, I should have known because he was so nervous. As soon as I walked in the door, he started talking. And then he didn't stop talking to me until we were on the way to Pioneers golf course. So looking back, I could definitely probably know he was really nervous.
But little did she know, I had done all my test setups. I had the people in place, the photographer in place at Pioneer Park. And at like 2 PM, I said, hey, we need to run to Pioneer Park. One of my old coworkers has a bottle of whiskey for me. And so we made it over there. One of the most quiet car rides I've ever been in. And I just remember how nervous I was.
So we're on our way to the golf course. He doesn't turn, he makes a different turn than what he normally would to get to the golf course. So of course I asked him, I'm like, where are you going? Like, this isn't the way to the golf course. And he quickly made up some story about how the road was closed. And
I was prepared for that question. And I said, yep, it's under construction. We have to go the long way, turn into the park. And I think that's really where she started understanding what was going on. We went down to this little parking lot, the side parking lot, and got out of the car. She didn't even notice I grabbed the ring. It was in my back pocket, in the case. Walked, turned the corner around the trees, and
of course I start crying. I'm just so excited. But we get over there. He has a sweet letter for me that I read, and then that's when he asked. It was a special moment for both of us. It was just the two of us there.
It was a really cool moment. That's when it really hit her. And I'm really surprised because I think I almost messed it up 2 or 3 times leading up to the whole thing. I accidentally sent her a screenshot of the plan. And so we did it though.
After that, we went to dinner, which I thought was just going to be the two of us again. But actually, my whole family, his whole family, my grandparents from Texas, and a few other friends were there to celebrate with us. So
my favorite thing about Sid is her drive and passion in everything she does, from work to personal life, whatever it is, how she supports me, and no matter what I do, and then the family values she holds close. You know, it was important to both of us to find someone who cares about family as much as we do, and I'm excited to spend the rest of my life with her.
There's so many things that I love about Thomas, but sorry, I might get a little emotional. My favorite thing about Thomas is the way that he shows up for his people. He's the first person to step up and do anything that one of his friends or family members or myself might need. He's so selfless, and he's so intentional with his time and who he has in his life, and that is something that, as I've grown to know Thomas and we've been together, that is something that is so important to me and a partner. And I have to add one more in, but he is the biggest family guy. He loves his family so much, and that just warms my heart. And he's come to love my family too, and that means the world to me. But yeah, he's the best. Going along of just how selfless Thomas is, another one of the things that just makes me love him so much is that he will, sometimes as I'm leaving for work, he will remind me, like, what can you do today to make someone's life better? How can you make a difference in someone's life? And that's one of the things I look up to him for. He is just, again, so selfless. He would do anything for me, for anyone. And I just love that about him.
The first time I said I love you, I think I was making dinner at my apartment for her. I think I made some salmon, some potatoes, some green beans or asparagus.
Sounds about right.
And we had a movie on the TV and we both just looked at each other. And I knew what she wanted to say, I knew what I wanted to say. And I knew she wasn't gonna say it first. And so I said, I love you.
Yeah, I think that lines up pretty well. I definitely wanted him to say it, but I was stubborn. I wasn't gonna say it first, but he did, and I remember being so happy that he did. So yeah. To all of our friends and family that are here tonight celebrating with us, we just want to say thank you so much. It has been wonderful celebrating with you. We're so happy that you could be here, whether that is from here, you traveled from here in Lincoln, or all the way, all of my family in Texas that was able to make it. We're so grateful to both of our parents as well, supporting us through this journey and our wedding party. Our wedding planner, all the vendors that are here today making this day so special for us. We love you, and we're so appreciative that you're here with us today.